we've enjoyed. I mean, a father and son that get to spend time doing this, I think, is a lot better than some of the other things that you can get into. But then we just got...
What's up, everybody? Brian Wagner, editor of Street Muscle Magazine, and a few months ago I was at the Piston Power Show in Cleveland, and I saw this really cool collection of Mopars, and one of them really caught my attention. Shot some pictures of it, whatnot. You know, it had a real nice brag board that told the story of the car called the Brow. So I did my story on the car. I was doing some research on it. I saw this thing about the Boggs collection and whatnot, the Boggs stable. And I ran the story, and lo and behold, the owner of the stable part of it, Aaron here, reached out to me. We started talking back and forth, and it turns out that the stable was about an hour from my house. He invited me up to come check it out, sent me some pictures, and I was blown away. So he asked if I wanted to come up and film some of the cars and talk to him. And of course, I'm going to jump at that because who doesn't want to talk about cool cars? And I get here, and it's like a candy store. This is like if you were... You're a car guy driving on a long road trip. What would I do if I was going to build a car collection? Well, this is kind of it. Now, Aaron, thank you so much for bringing me up here.
It's great to have you, Brian.
And I mean, stuff like this just doesn't magically appear. How did this all start? Tell me the story behind it.
Well, you're going to meet my dad here in a little bit, but I mean, it's something that he and I have enjoyed doing. I got started when I was 18. Always enjoyed muscle cars. And, you know, I moved from an era of Hot Wheels and Matchbox cars to finding the real stuff. And as I got more into it, I really enjoyed finding the people behind the car. And so searching for individuals that had neat stories with rare cars is kind of the thing that I've enjoyed over the last 20 years. And you know, my dad's probably a little bit more attached to the actual cars than I am. I get attached to the hunt, and I love meeting the people that are in this industry, especially the good ones.
Yeah, it's like I've been talking to you and your dad. You're passionate about this. You know, you get into the stories behind it. It's like I call it the Gone in 60 Seconds kind of thing when Nicolas Cage does the monologue and they talk about the colors and the sounds.
Yeah.
And when I walked in here, it's just this cornucopia of horsepower and colors, which is awesome. And so how did this whole stable thing start? You know, did you guys just one day say, hey, let's start a collection, or did it just kind of a snowball and kind of ended up that way?
Well, we started with one or two cars. We like to go to car shows together. It's something that we've enjoyed. I mean, a father and son that get to spend time doing this, I think, is a lot better than some of the other things that you can get into. But then we just got really passionate about meeting the people behind it, and from going to Meekum to Barrett Jackson to meeting more people behind it, you realize it's just really good individuals that have great collections, and I started to enjoy that. And then people started to call me up, say, hey, I know where this is, and would you be interested? That's how I found the Brow. I got a phone call, and I flew down to Pensacola, Florida, and I think that as these cars turn over so much, some people desire them to go to a home.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we've enjoyed doing is 1 + 1 starts to equal 10. And here we are with not just really cool cars that we enjoy, but we curate the stories and the people behind the cars as well.
So it's sort of like you hear people talk about on social media when they find a kit in the cat distribution system.
Yeah.
You guys are the muscle car distribution system. They just magically show up and you're like, well, we got to give it a home now.
Well, I think that, you know, I'm a storyteller. I got into the marketing, and the Boggs Muscle Car Stable became its own brand because people aspired to know the stories and wanted to know more about it. And it's difficult to tell that story, whether it's at Mopar Nationals, whether you go to Good Guys, you go to these large shows. You know, we met in Cleveland at the IX Center. How can I tell that story repeatably without standing one-on-one? And so we built a website, and then I got a logo, and it just started to take on a life of its own. And now here, several years later, it's neat to have something that people feel like they're a part of as well.
There's so many cool cars in here, and I mean, this is I'll call this a target-rich environment. I'm going to come back later, and we're going to do more stuff on these cars for sure. But, you know, we've already done the Brow. And my magazine, we're kind of the home for the Mopar stuff. And I know we
Yeah.
talked about some other vehicles here. So let's tell the story behind. Besides the Brown, you got 3 other cool Mopars here. Let's tell their stories in this video.
Awesome.
Start with the orange car here first. We'll go into the B-roll and people get to see that. So tell me about this orange car, man.
Yeah, so my dad, this is his dream car, and he can tell you a little bit more about why. But really got into the history of the A12. I mean, it's a half-year production car, and he, as we started to build the collection, I was obsessed with what is your car, because I really don't have one. I just don't think that way. But his was, he wanted an orange A12. I laugh about it because he wanted the quarter panel louvers. So I would find one, and it was, I really want those quarter panel louvers. And so, I was just constantly searching, as many of you guys do out there. And I found the guy over in North Carolina. I think he had like 65 cars.
Only 65.
Yeah. And what a lot of guys do that have nice collections is they like to turn out here, 1 or 2. And so we started to talk. I met him in North Carolina, took a look at the car, and came back with it after we gave him some cash. And so this is a really neat car. I backtracked the story because he didn't have it, and found the guy, Mark Lewis, in Texas, who did the restoration with Wayne Smothers. And Wayne Smothers is kind of the A12 expert. He and I have become really good friends. He did the restoration on this car. It is a #1 completely restored car. And you can drive it anywhere, but at car shows it does extremely well because it's virtually perfect. 4-speed car. I've got all the history, and it was found in a junkyard. So Mark wanted to do an A12, and here comes this kid that moved a couple cars in a junkyard in West Texas, and he sees a little B on the back of the car. And so we have all of those restoration pictures. It's a really, really cool car.
Yeah, what's the drive line on the car?
So the A12 is a 446 pack car. And it's really neat, the production, because Dodge was so in tune with the drag racing scene from a purchase production perspective. And so you have, General Motors and Ford and Dodge and Plymouth are all like trying to really sink into 68, 69, 70. The kids, which my dad would have been in high school, these are the cars they want. If you look at this, it's got a fiberglass hood, which says easy access to the engine. It's got the black wheels because they knew that they weren't going to keep them. They just wanted to throw some chrome, right?
Something to literally get it off the lot because they knew it was going to get changed out.
Right, they knew it was going to be changed. And now those black rims are cult classics.
Yeah.
And so it's just got a neat look. You can ask him about why he loves it, but this is a really neat car.
Now, Dad, why don't you come on over here? He's over there just kind of getting back to enjoy it, which is awesome.
Let's get him in here.
Let's get him in here. And, we're all about having fun and whatnot. Come on over here. So what was your name? What's your name? Delmas, your son Aaron brought me in on this deal, and like you guys have built such a cool collection. We're talking about the 6-pack car, and kind of, what spoke to you about these cars when what made you go, man, I need that someday?
I just remember when I was a kid, my mom and dad used to go to Columbus at one of the first McDonald's there in Northern Lights. And I remember sitting in the back seat, and we would be eating McDonald's, and sometimes these cars would just go by. So I just thought they were different. They were fast, they were loud, and they just attracted me. So then as I grew up and started watching, back in my time, we only had like 3 channels, and Wadmore Sports would have drag racing. And that's when I started watching, and then Sox and Martins those were my favorite guys. They had Mopars, and just seemed the loudness and just the aggressiveness. And I used to start buying the magazines, and used to the 2-page used to show the cars, and the centerfolds of them, and I used to cut them out and just collect them as a kid, just dreaming one day that I would have one. So then, as I gotten older, I'm retired now, you know, and worked hard, you know, worked for Kelsey Hayes, and started saving my money, and you know, as a retirement, then this is one of the cars that I always fell in love with. Just the color, the aggressive look of it is sort of like my personality.
And it's interesting what, you know, if you have this car and what's it like, you know, I always say that these cars have souls. What's it like driving this car versus, we'll talk about your modern Mopar in a second, but like this car, what's it like driving this car? You know, they have a feel to it. Describe that feel.
Just when either if you're trailering it to a big show, like we've taken these to the IX Center in Cleveland at the Power Piston Show, and just the older guys, you know, and some of the younger guys would come up and say, my dad used to have one of these, or I remember them, you know, or my grandpa had one. But it's just sort of, you know, it's rewarding to when people just pull off. You're getting gas or something, and just start taking pictures and asking questions, you know, and it's a good feeling. It's a proud feeling, and you try to stay humble, but it's appreciation that people appreciate it.
And it's the way to me, it's the way the cars drive. My dad's got a '67 Nova. You know, you shut the door on one of these cars versus a modern muscle car, and it's just, there's more of a feel behind it. It's hard to describe it, just it feels solid. You know, it's a different feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, we had it out about 2 months ago. I got a friend that's having an RT built, and it's almost finished, and it's a '69 RT, 426 Hemi. And I let him drive it. He loves driving them. And so we were out in it, and then Aaron, my son, was out in cuda here. And he was ahead of us. And so I told him, I said, get him. So he slapped it down in second, and he punched it, and we passed him just out at the road here. You know, so it's just, and then after he passed him, and then we got back, he said, wow. He said, just the power of it, and it didn't miss, it just would go.
Something about a big block car with a clutch is just, it's a different feeling. They're angry. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, like I said, it's just something that, it's just the look, the sound. The sound is just as important to me as the look. The louder, the better. You know, and these cars just, when you start them up, they rumble, you know, and it's just, back in the day, you just remember the sound. And I'm really appreciative that I can own something like this. You know, my collection, I just got 2, but that's enough for me.
Well, let's talk about your other car, the modern Mopar, which to me, when I saw those cars come out, what they've kind of become, these new Dodges, they hit the mark. I look at that and I equate that to the ultimate evolution of those cars. Talk about this new Mopar that you got, kind of, you know, just it's out of frame right now. We'll get in on it, but you know, what is it? You know, what did you option it as? You know, tell people about it.
It's a 2021 Challenger RT TA. It's the 392 with the 485 horse. And what drew me to that was, to be honest with you, we were at Mecum, and I had just sold an A12 Roadrunner. And so I was in the market. That morning, we were at the show, and Aaron said, you just sold your Roadrunner. And I was looking at buying possibly a 1941 Willys that caught my eye. But the money went
Those go
far beyond what I wanted to pay for it.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we came back, and then I just was, sometimes, you know, you just search the web, you just go to the car things, and I just saw this gold-looking black Challenger, and I said, wow, that's sharp looking. That's something I like to see. And it was in Columbus at Riker Mega Mall. And so I went down, and I knew when I walked in, I was going to take it home. And so I went in and made a deal and bought it. But it's just like I said, to me, it's like the Super B. It's the gold rush color, the black rims, and just the matte black hood, top, and trunk. And it's just an aggressive look, and it is fun to drive. It's an automatic, and my wife can drive it, but I've had it out a few times, and people just, you know, they'll yell out the window, nice car, nice look, you know. And even the women, they like it, you know.
The problem with these cars like this, I think, is that you get so comfortable with how much power they make that you forget how much power they make until you're on the freeway and you got to pass someone, you mash it, and all of a sudden you're doing $110, and it doesn't, like, doing 110 in a modern muscle car versus 110 in an older muscle car is a totally different feel, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fast. I mean, it's not the fastest, it's not the Hellcat, but for 485 horse, you punch it, and you're up to 70, 80, 90 right now. And you have to be disciplined when you drive them. You know, I let a young boy drive it, and he fell in love with it. Now his dream is to own one, you know, and hopefully he'll get it. And I told him when he goes to shopping, let me know, I'll go with him. So, but it's a blast to drive. I feel comfortable in it, confident in it. You know, you can drive it cross country if you want. I could get in it, just take it anywhere I want, and just have fun. Driving should be fun.
Yeah, exactly. You should have fun driving your ride. Now, let's close things out a little bit, you know, and I think we're going to be covering, you know, the Mopar side of the shop. Let's talk about this AAR car, because I recently just did a story. Ironically enough, I found a video about these cars, and I didn't realize how rare they were and kind of the story behind them. Kind of tell me about this particular car.
Well, that's Aaron's car.
Oh, it's Aaron's car.
Yeah. He picked it up in Wisconsin, and it's the green, and like he says, when we take it to shows, kids love the car. You know, the parents will be taking them, they'll be dragging them along, and then they'll come to a car like this, and just the color just attracts the kids to it, you know, and he'll let them sit in it, let the parents take a picture with the kids in it. And to us, that's important. You know, I mean, we take care of them, but we've gone to shows and allowed kids to be sitting in the car and take pictures with them. But that one is pretty rare. It's matching numbers, I believe. And
it's a column shift car too.
Yeah, and it's one of the most, when you go to shows, people are really attracted to it, you know, and it's an eye catcher, and people just gravitate to it.
And, you know, the true Mopar aficionados really know what it is. I know enough. I unfortunately am not like my dad, who just has muscle car knowledge ingrained to his brain. I can't look at a car and, you know, rattle off all the specs behind it. That information has been pushed out about other stuff. But I know enough that, you know, when I see some of these cars, especially the AAR car, just how rare these are, and, you know, the story that they were essentially, you know, Dodge's way of getting into the road racing world.
Yeah.
And you don't see a lot of these legit cars on the road.
No, and like I said, we're not too far from Mid-Ohio.
Yeah.
And if you go up there, sometimes you'll see cars like this that will be racing, you know, like the Mustangs, the Camaros, and then the old school AAR. And that's why it interested me into maybe the Challenger, because it's similar to it, you know, and it's a car that you could take to the road and track rather than the drag strip and have some fun with it, you know, and it's just, you know, the new school, the old school, you see the similarities, and Dodge, to me, Dodge really nailed it. And just the version of what they got now coming out with the Hellcats, the Demons, and things like that. Just it takes you back to where these were, back in the day, were the cars that people desired and wanted. And very few people could probably afford them, but now they're so rare that when you see one, you know, just to buy one, if you go to the shows, especially if they're matching numbers, you're going to pay for it. You know, but the driving experience in them is just something else.
Well, you know, I appreciate you guys coming up. You know, let me come out. I think we'll close things out on the Mopar side of the shop on this, and in the future we'll come back up and we'll talk about some of the other cool stuff that you guys have GM-wise. Yeah. But thank you so much for inviting me up, and stay tuned, folks, to the Street Muscle YouTube channel. We'll have more stuff about the Boggs stable, tons of other cars, but just, you know, really go back, look at our article about the Brow, because it's a cool story behind that car. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you at the car shows.